Welcome to our peaceful journey into the dark deep ocean. Please close your eyes and let the surface world fade. You are completely safe in your very comfortable bed tonight. Breathe slowly as we leave the busy land far behind. The night sky above us is clear and very calm. Stars shine brightly over the vast open water around us. Gentle waves lap softly against the hull of our vessel. We prepare to descend into a completely different aquatic realm. Your body feels heavy as you sink into the mattress. Let your mind drift gently toward the quiet marine depths. Our submersible vehicle begins its slow dive beneath the surface. Sunlight filters through the upper layers of the blue water. Tiny marine snow particles float past our thick glass window. The bright surface colors slowly transition into a muted twilight. We sink deeper into the quiet pelagic zone of shadows. Water pressure increases steadily with every passing meter of descent. The ambient temperature drops as we leave the sun behind. You feel a profound sense of tranquility in this isolation. Surface storms cannot reach this deeply protected underwater sanctuary space. We are entering a world defined by absolute eternal darkness. At 1,000 meters down, the last photons finally disappear. We now navigate using only our advanced sonar acoustic instruments. The ocean around us is a vast void of blackness. The water temperature here hovers around 4 degrees Celsius constantly. We continue our steady drop into the midnight bathypelagic zone. Pressure outside the hull reaches 100 standard atmospheric units. Only highly specialized organisms can survive in these extreme conditions. Bioluminescent flashes occasionally illuminate the dark water outside our window. These brief sparks of light serve as biological communication signals. Our journey takes us even further down toward the seafloor. We cross into the abyssopelagic zone at 4,000 meters. The crushing pressure now exceeds 400 standard atmospheric units. It feels incredibly peaceful to be so far from civilization. The ocean floor slowly comes into range on our monitors. We are exploring the East Pacific Rise geological fault line. This underwater mountain range stretches across the entire ocean floor. Tectonic plates slowly pull apart in this active volcanic region. Magma rises from the mantle to create new oceanic crust. The resulting landscape features dramatic rocky cliffs and deep valleys. We engage our exterior floodlights to reveal the barren terrain. A strange geological formation emerges from the dark murky distance. Tall rocky chimneys rise from the otherwise flat basalt seafloor. These structures are known as hydrothermal vents by marine geologists. Black smoke appears to billow continuously from their jagged peaks. This smoke is actually superheated water carrying dissolved earth minerals. Seawater seeps into the crust and meets the hot magma. The liquid heats rapidly and shoots back toward the ocean. Temperatures inside the vent chimney can reach 400 degrees. The surrounding cold water cools the fluid instantly upon exit. Dissolved iron and sulfur precipitate out to form the chimneys. This harsh environment seems entirely inhospitable to all biological life. The ambient water pressure would easily crush a normal submarine. Toxic chemicals like hydrogen sulfide saturate the water column here. The temperature gradient between the vent and ocean is extreme. Yet a vibrant ecosystem thrives in this very unlikely place. We have arrived at the home of a fascinating creature. Tonight we observe the blind shrimp of the deep abyss. Scientists call this specific species Rimicaris exoculator in their literature. The name translates to a rift shrimp without any eyes. These tiny crustaceans swarm the hot rocky walls in thousands. They live their entire lives in complete and total darkness. The absence of sunlight makes traditional vision entirely useless here. Over millions of years they evolved to lose their eyes. They measure about 5 centimeters long when fully grown adults. Their pale bodies stand out against the dark basaltic rock. A dense cluster of them resembles a moving white carpet. They constantly jostle for position near the flowing hot water. The shrimp must stay close to the vent for survival. However, they must avoid the lethal boiling temperatures just inside. They navigate this dangerous thermal gradient with incredible biological precision. Without eyes, the shrimp rely on other highly tuned senses. They possess a specialized organ upon their upper dorsal surface. This unique structure detects faint thermal radiation from the vents. It allows them to see the heat of the water. They can sense infrared glow emitted by the superheated fluid. This thermal vision prevents them from swimming into boiling zones. Long antennae extend from their heads to feel the rock. Chemoreceptors on their bodies taste the dissolved minerals surrounding them. They smell the hydrogen sulfide required for their daily sustenance. Their entire nervous system maps the invisible chemical fluid currents. There is no plant life at this extreme ocean depth. Photosynthesis is impossible without the energy of the distant sun. Instead, this food web relies upon a process called chemosynthesis. Specialized bacteria process the toxic chemicals into usable organic energy. These microbes form thick mats upon the rocky vent chimneys. The blind shrimp farm these bacteria directly upon their bodies. They have modified mouthparts designed to harvest the microscopic crop. Enlarged gill chambers provide a safe home for the microbes. The shrimp essentially carry their own personal food supply everywhere. This symbiotic relationship allows both species to flourish down here. The swarm moves in a slow and rhythmic, mesmerizing dance. Thousands of tiny legs scrape against the mineral chimney walls. They form tight layers over the most productive bacterial zones. As the hot water shifts, the entire colony moves together. It resembles a single living organism breathing in the dark. The gentle motion is incredibly soothing to watch right now. Their pale shells reflect the artificial light of our submersible. We dim our exterior lamps to avoid disturbing their environment. The darkness returns to claim the edges of our vision. You can feel your own breathing match their slow rhythm. Inside our cabin, the air is perfectly climate controlled always. Soft instrument panels glow with a calming dim green light. The faint hum of our life support systems murmurs quietly. We hover silently just 3 meters from the active vent. Thick titanium walls protect us from the crushing external pressure. The ocean outside pushes with immense and heavy invisible force. You are entirely secure within this modern engineering marvel tonight. The isolation of the deep sea brings a deep peace. Time seems to slow down in this forgotten underwater realm. The worries of the surface world cannot reach you here. The East Pacific rise spreads at a remarkably fast rate. New ocean floor forms at roughly 10 centimeters every year. This constant geological activity ensures a steady supply of minerals. The vent fields are temporary oases in a vast desert. A single chimney might remain active for only several decades. Mineral deposits eventually clog the internal plumbing of the vent. The flow of hot water slowly diminishes and then stops. When a vent dies, the entire local ecosystem must relocate. The blind shrimp send their larvae into the ocean currents. These tiny offspring drift through the dark searching for homes. The journey of a young shrimp is a remarkable feat. They float upward into slightly warmer and shallower water layers. Ocean currents carry them for hundreds of miles across darkness. They survive on stored energy reserves from their parent eggs. Eventually they must detect the chemical signature of another vent. They follow the faint trace of sulfur down the water. The descent brings them back into the crushing abyssal pressure. Only a small fraction successfully locate a new active chimney. Upon arrival they undergo a dramatic physical metamorphosis very quickly. They shed their juvenile forms to become adult blind shrimp. The adult anatomy is perfectly suited for this extreme life. Their carapace is smooth and lacks any sharp defensive spines. This streamlined shape helps them navigate through the dense crowds. 10 slender walking legs allow them to grip the rocks. Small swimming appendages under their tail provide rapid backward movement. They use this quick darting motion to escape sudden heat. The dorsal light-sensing organ sits just beneath their shell. It contains highly sensitive visual pigments called rhodopsin chemical compounds. These pigments absorb the faint thermal radiation from the vent. Neural pathways transmit this crucial temperature data to their brain. The bacteria on their bodies are equally fascinating to study. Different strains of microbes occupy specific regions of the shrimp. Filamentous bacteria grow in long strands on the mouth parts. Rod-shaped microbes line the inner walls of the gills. The shrimp constantly groom themselves to manage these bacterial gardens. They use tiny specialized claws to scrape the microbial growth. This continuous harvesting provides all their necessary daily caloric intake. The bacteria also help detoxify the lethal heavy metals present. Minerals like copper and zinc dissolve in the vent fluid. The microbial shield protects the shrimp from chemical mineral poisoning. The water chemistry here is a complex and delicate balance. Hydrogen sulfide is highly toxic to most normal marine life. It binds to oxygen receptors and stops cellular respiration processes. The blind shrimp have evolved special proteins in their blood. These proteins bind the sulfide before it reaches their cells. The blood transports the chemical safely to the gill bacteria. The microbes then oxidize the sulfide to generate life energy. This elegant biological solution enables survival in a toxic zone. Nature always finds a way to adapt to harsh environments. The resilience of life in the abyss is truly inspiring. Listen closely to the ambient sounds of the deep ocean. The hydrothermal vent produces a continuous low and rumbling roar. Superheated fluid forces its way through narrow rocky crustal channels. The sound vibrates through the heavy water surrounding our vessel. It is a deep bass tone that you can feel. Occasional pops and cracks echo as the mineral chimneys shift. The thermal expansion of the basalt creates these sharp noises. Otherwise, the abyss remains enveloped in a profound silent stillness. The steady rumble acts as a natural white noise generator. Let the deep sonic vibrations relax your tired resting muscles. There is no concept of day or night down here. The sun has not touched this seafloor for million years. The environment remains completely constant regardless of the surface time. This eternal midnight creates a perfect atmosphere for deep sleep. Your biological clock can let go of its rigid schedule. You are free to drift into a timeless resting state. Imagine the weight of 2 miles of water above you. It acts as a heavy and comforting protective weighted blanket. Nothing can disturb your peace in this remote benthic sanctuary. The blind shrimp continue their slow dance in the dark. Other unique creatures share this thermal oasis with the shrimp. White squat lobsters hide within the crevices of the rocks. They wait patiently to scavenge any fallen organic debris nearby. Giant tube worms with bright red plumes anchor themselves firmly. These worms also rely entirely upon internal chemosynthetic bacterial colonies. Pale eelpouts swim lazily through the warm water currents. They are the top predators in this small, isolated ecosystem. However, they rarely bother the dense swarms of blind shrimp. The sheer number of shrimp provides safety for the colony. They exist in a balanced harmony within the toxic water. Our observation of this fascinating vent community has just begun. We will remain here to study their behavior much closer. The slow currents of the deep ocean wash over us. You can feel your breathing slow to a restful pace. The gentle hum of the submersible lulls you towards sleep. Let the darkness of the abyss comfort your tired eyes. The blind shrimp thrive beautifully without any need for light. You too can find comfort in the quiet dark night. Rest now as we continue to monitor the hydrothermal vents. Tomorrow we will explore more secrets of the deep ocean. The abyssal blind shrimp possesses a remarkably unique physical appearance. Adult blind shrimp typically measure about 2 inches in length. Their very delicate bodies completely lack any traditional color pigmentation. This pale exoskeleton appears beautifully translucent within the deep darkness. Vital internal organs remain faintly visible through their thin shells. A striking reddish hue often coats their tiny delicate abdomens. This specific coloration comes from iron deposits near hydrothermal vents. Tiny mineral particles slowly accumulate along their smooth outer carapace. The mature creature weighs merely a few grams in total. Their extremely slender profile helps them navigate harsh underwater environments. Without traditional eyes, their facial structure looks smooth and featureless. They completely lack the typical protruding eye stalks of shallow species. Instead, a highly specialized dorsal organ sits atop their head. This unique thoracic organ functions as a naked retina structure. It detects faint thermal radiation emitting from superheated ocean vents. The delicate sensory tissue forms a distinct triangular back pattern. 2 oversized lobes connect directly to their central nervous system. A reflective layer of white cells sits beneath the photoreceptors. This biological mirror maximizes the absorption of invisible infrared light. The entire sensory apparatus rests safely beneath the transparent shell. The scientific name Rimicaris exoculator literally translates to without eyes. Their smooth carapace extends forward to protect vital feeding appendages. 10 fragile walking legs support their weight on rocky substrates. These thin pariapods feature microscopic sensory hairs along every joint. The front 2 pairs possess tiny pincers for gathering food. They use these delicate claws to harvest essential bacterial colonies. A dense mat of bristles covers their specialized mouth parts. These complex feeding structures filter nutrients from the toxic water. Their flexible abdomen consists of 6 distinct overlapping muscular segments. 5 pairs of swimming legs attach beneath these abdominal plates. These pleopods beat rhythmically to propel them through the darkness. A wide tail fan provides rapid backward propulsion when threatened. This powerful tailsun helps them escape sudden bursts of heat. Long sweeping antennae stretch outward from their small pointed heads. These primary sensory organs often exceed their entire body length. The antennae detect subtle chemical changes in the surrounding currents. They can sense hydrogen sulfide dissolving in the frigid seawater. A secondary pair of shorter antennules rests just below them. These smaller appendages constantly flick to taste the ocean chemistry. Their branchial chamber houses highly modified gills for deep respiration. This enlarged gill cavity bulges noticeably on their lateral sides. Symbiotic bacteria grow thickly upon the inner lining of gills. These microbes create a dark gray shadow within the carapace. The shrimp cultivates this vital bacterial garden on its body. Specialized filtering structures periodically scrape these microbes into their mouths. Their digestive tract runs visibly along the translucent dorsal midline. The stomach contains tiny mineral grains swallowed during routine feeding. These abrasive particles help grind tough bacterial mats for digestion. Their blood relies on hemocyanin rather than iron-based molecules. This copper-rich fluid flows clear until exposed to oxygen. The heart beats slowly to conserve precious energy at depth. Their metabolic rate adapts perfectly to the crushing hydrostatic pressure. At 10,000 feet deep, their tissues remain incredibly resilient. The exoskeleton incorporates flexible chitin to withstand immense oceanic weight. They must molt this outer shell periodically to continue growing. A newly molted shrimp appears brilliant white and highly vulnerable. Within days, the fresh carapace hardens in the freezing water. Mineral deposits quickly return, staining the shell with dark sulfides. The rostrum, a frontal spike, is noticeably blunted in adults. Juvenile specimens look drastically different from their fully mature counterparts. Larval blind shrimp hatch with fully functional, traditional stalked eyes. These young drift higher in the slightly brighter pelagic zone. Their early bodies retain orange pigments derived from surface nutrients. As they mature, they sink down toward the abyssal seafloor. During this descent, their optical stalks slowly degrade and vanish. The unique dorsal photoreceptor develops only after they reach adulthood. This profound physical transformation represents a remarkable evolutionary survival strategy. Adult females grow slightly larger than the average male shrimp. A mature female can measure up to 60 millimeters long. They carry developing embryos attached safely to their swimming legs. These tiny eggs appear as pale yellow spheres when fresh. The egg mass darkens gradually as the internal embryos develop. A single female may brood several hundred eggs at once. The shrimp carefully grooms these eggs using specialized cleaning claws. This constant tending prevents deadly fungal infections in the deep. Their jointed legs possess remarkable flexibility for navigating jagged chimneys. Microscopic suction pads exist on the tips of their dactyls. These gripping structures allow them to cling to vertical walls. The hydrothermal vent environment subjects them to extreme temperature gradients. Their carapace effectively insulates their internal organs from freezing water. Conversely, it protects them briefly from unexpected bursts of heat. The water near vents can reach 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet the ambient ocean sits just above typical freezing temperatures. The shrimp maintains a delicate physical balance between these extremes. Their sensory systems guide them to the perfect thermal boundary. A network of tactile nerves runs throughout their entire shell. This nervous system registers minute vibrations in the water column. They lack the heavy armor seen in shallow coastal crustaceans. Calcium carbonate dissolves too easily at these extreme ocean depths. Therefore, their exoskeleton remains relatively soft and highly protein-based. This softer shell allows for swift and graceful underwater movements. The pale coloration provides no camouflage in the pitch blackness. Visual stealth matters little where sunlight can never penetrate down. The shrimp swarm together in massive writhing clusters of thousands. Their collective bodies form thick white blankets over the rocks. Individual shrimp constantly jostle for optimal positioning near the nutrients. Their long antennae frequently entangle with those of their neighbors. Despite this crowding, they rarely damage each other during contact. The smooth contours of their shells prevent accidental physical hooking. Their specialized claws lack the crushing power to inflict harm. The species Alvinicaris markensis shares this harsh deep-sea habitat. However, they possess a slightly more robust and spiky carapace. The true blind shrimp maintains a purely streamlined bodily form. Their internal anatomy features an unusually large lipid storage organ. This fatty reserve sustains them during unexpected periods of starvation. The lipid droplets appear as opaque white masses inside them. Their muscle tissue looks almost entirely transparent under bright lights. Scientists study this clear musculature to understand deep-sea adaptation. The lack of pigment saves crucial metabolic energy for survival. Producing complex colors requires biological resources better spent on reproduction. Their simple white appearance reflects pure efficiency in biological design. The highly reduced rostrum prevents snagging on dense bacterial filaments. Their smooth heads push easily through the thick microbial mats. The antennae base contains small statocysts for maintaining physical balance. These tiny fluid-filled chambers help them detect gravitational pull. Inside the statocyst, a dense mineral grain rolls against nerves. This mechanism tells the shrimp which physical direction is up. The delicate balance organs reset themselves after every molting cycle. They must carefully insert new sand grains into the chambers. This fascinating behavior ensures their spatial orientation remains perfectly accurate. Their mouthparts include modified mandibles designed for gentle biological scraping. They do not hunt or chew large pieces of prey. The maxillae constantly sweep microscopic food toward the digestive opening. Fine setae on these limbs act like microscopic biological sieves. The intricate filtering hairs trap bacteria while expelling toxic water. Their gills extract dissolved oxygen with incredible biochemical processing efficiency. The gill filaments provide an enormous surface area for respiration. This adaptation proves necessary in the hypoxic vent fluid environment. The carapace limits the mixing of toxic and clean waters. A specialized pumping mechanism draws fresh currents over the gills. The exhalant current shoots forward away from their feeding appendages. This flow prevents them from rebreathing the same depleted water. Their slender uropods flank the central telson at the tail. These tail flaps fold tightly together during normal forward walking. When alarmed, the flaps spread wide to catch more water. The resulting backward thrust moves them instantly out of danger. Their nervous system features a giant motor axon for escaping. This large nerve fiber transmits emergency signals at lightning speed. The rapid tail flex happens in mere fractions of seconds. Despite lacking vision, their physical reflexes remain astonishingly well tuned. The thoracic organ glows faintly under specialized laboratory imaging equipment. This visual organ dominates the dorsal anatomy of the cephalothorax. The photoreceptor cells pack together in incredibly dense honeycomb arrays. No image-forming lenses exist within this primitive sensory structure. It simply measures the raw intensity of ambient thermal light. The organ connects to an unusually large brain processing center. This cerebral ganglion devotes massive resources to interpreting chemical signals. The olfactory lobes are significantly expanded compared to shallow shrimp. Their sense of smell effectively replaces the need for sight. Every physical feature serves a distinct purpose in the abyss. The entire body surface secretes a thin layer of mucus. This slippery coating prevents harmful minerals from cementing their joints. It also deters parasitic organisms from attaching to their shells. The mucus contains specialized enzymes that break down toxic compounds. Their walking legs end in sharp points for secure footing. The rocky chimneys offer very few flat surfaces for resting. Therefore, the shrimp must constantly grip the uneven mineral formations. The joints of their legs bend at highly acute angles. This allows them to crouch low against the strong currents. By staying low, they avoid being swept into boiling water. The overall shape resembles a perfectly engineered deep-sea submarine. Their smooth sides deflect the turbulent flow of vent fluids. A distinct lack of spines reduces their overall hydrodynamic drag. The transparent nature of their shell reveals fascinating internal mechanics. One can observe the rhythmic pulsing of their tiny hearts. The digestive tract pulses slowly as it processes bacterial food. These internal movements proceed with a calming, steady, clockwork rhythm. The physical frailty of the shrimp contrasts with its environment. They thrive where the oceanic pressure exceeds 400 atmospheres. Their liquid-filled bodies cannot be crushed by immense weight. The water inside them pushes outward with perfectly equal force. This internal equilibrium preserves their delicate anatomical structures completely intact. The gills extract trace amounts of life-giving oxygen efficiently. Their pleopods feature tiny fringes that increase their swimming power. These microscopic hairs catch the water during each power stroke. On the return stroke, the fringes fold flat to glide. This mechanical perfection conserves calories in a nutrient-poor world. The reproductive organs sit tucked safely beneath the upper carapace. In females, the ovaries expand significantly during the breeding season. The developing eggs add a slight yellowish tint to them. Male specimens possess specialized appendages for transferring genetic material safely. These modified limbs ensure successful fertilization in the chaotic currents. The sensory hairs on their claws can identify potential mates. Chemical signatures help them distinguish between different genders and species. The blind shrimp relies heavily on this tactile chemical language. Their physical form represents millions of years of slow refinement. Every unnecessary feature has been stripped away by natural selection. What remains is a masterclass in deep-sea biological engineering. The sleek body glides through the dense, mineral-rich fluids. Their pale forms create a mesmerizing dance in the abyss. The contrast between their fragility and the harsh environment astounds. They navigate this lethal landscape with quiet, unseeing physical grace. The tiny creatures endure conditions that would destroy human machinery. Their soft tissues conquer the crushing pressures of the deep. The unique dorsal eye silently watches the invisible thermal glow. Their delicate antennae continually read the shifting chemistry of seawater. The complex gills steadily harvest life from the toxic plumes. This remarkable anatomy allows them to flourish in absolute darkness. The physical design of the blind shrimp is perfectly complete. They rest peacefully within the eternal night of the ocean. The blind shrimp survives through a unique chemical feeding process. Sunlight never reaches these remote benthic ocean floor environments today. Photosynthesis cannot occur without solar radiation penetrating the cold water. Energy must originate from the internal heat of the planet. Hydrothermal vents release superheated fluids packed with dissolved earth minerals. Magma chambers far below the crust provide this geothermal power. Seawater seeps into cracks and becomes heated by molten rock. This boiling liquid dissolves toxic chemicals from the surrounding stone. The buoyant fluid rises rapidly back toward the ocean floor. Black smokers expel this dark mineral soup into the sea. Hydrogen sulfide forms the primary energy currency in this realm. Most marine organisms find this specific sulfur compound highly toxic. Blind shrimp possess special adaptations to utilize this dangerous chemical. They do not consume the sulfur directly for their nourishment. A complex symbiotic relationship makes their continued survival entirely possible. Millions of bacteria live directly on the bodies of shrimp. These microbes specialize in oxidizing the abundant vent fluid chemicals. Chemosynthesis allows these tiny organisms to manufacture pure organic carbon. The bacteria function like microscopic plants growing in total darkness. They transform inorganic molecules into usable sugars and essential proteins. The shrimp cultivate these bacterial gardens upon their own bodies. Specialized appendages serve as fertile ground for the microbial mats. The enlarged gill chambers house incredibly dense populations of bacteria. Fine hairs called setae provide extra surface area for attachment. These modified feeding structures create a perfect farm for microbes. Water currents flow constantly across the gills of the shrimp. This movement delivers fresh sulfide to the waiting bacterial colonies. The shrimp actively manage the flow of water over themselves. They position their bodies near the venting fluid very carefully. Finding the optimal chemical concentration requires constant movement and adjustment. Vent fluid exits the chimney at 400 degrees Celsius. The surrounding ocean water remains near 2 degrees Celsius constantly. A sharp temperature gradient exists where these two fluids mix. Shrimp must hover exactly within this narrow mixing zone region. Too close to the vent means instant death by boiling. Moving too far away starves the bacteria of essential sulfides. Thermal receptors help them locate the perfect zone for farming. They bathe their bacterial crops in the nutrient-rich waters. The microbes multiply rapidly under these ideal environmental chemical conditions. A thick white layer of bacteria soon coats the shrimp. Harvesting this microbial crop requires highly specialized physical feeding mechanisms. The shrimp use their small front claws to scrape themselves. They carefully comb the dense bacterial filaments from their appendages. These claws transfer the harvested microbes directly to their mouths. This self-grooming behavior provides their primary source of nutrition. The shrimp digest the bacteria to absorb the organic carbon. Some scientists believe they also absorb dissolved nutrients directly internally. The gills might uptake organic molecules leaked by the bacteria. This dual feeding strategy maximizes energy acquisition in extreme environments. Nothing goes to waste in this highly efficient symbiotic system. The diet of the blind shrimp includes more than bacteria. They constantly scrape the rocky surface of the vent chimneys. Their tiny claws pick at the porous mineral crust deposits. This scraping action gathers both free-living microbes and minerals. The shrimp swallow large quantities of rock fragments while feeding. Their digestive tracts often contain substantial amounts of crushed stone. Sulfide minerals pass through their bodies during the digestive process. This mineral ingestion might help grind up the bacterial cells. The stomach acts like a mill to process the food. Hard mineral grains break open the tough exterior microbial walls. Ion oxidation provides another chemical pathway for energy production here. Some vent fields release extremely high concentrations of dissolved iron. Specific strains of bacteria specialize in processing this heavy metal. The blind shrimp host these iron oxidizing microbes as well. As the bacteria consume iron, they produce rust as waste. This rust slowly accumulates on the exterior of the shrimp. The bodies of older shrimp turn a deep orange color. This mineral coating can become incredibly heavy over extended time. The thick crust threatens to restrict their movement and feeding. The shrimp must periodically shed their shells to survive this. Molting serves as a critical reset for the blind shrimp. They cast off their heavy mineral-laden exoskeletons completely whole. This process removes the entire accumulated crop of epibiotic bacteria. The newly molted shrimp appears pale white and completely clean. They lose their primary food source during this vulnerable phase. The shrimp must rapidly cultivate a fresh garden of microbes. Bacteria from the surrounding water quickly colonize the new shell. The shrimp resume their careful positioning in the vent fluid. Within days, a new crop of bacteria begins to flourish. The feeding cycle starts over in the dark ocean depths. Different species of blind shrimp favor different types of vents. Rimicaris exoculator dominates the massive sulfide chimneys of the Atlantic. They form massive swarms containing thousands of individual adult shrimp. These dense aggregations cover every square inch of available space. The shrimp constantly jostle each other for the best positions. Competition for optimal chemical flow remains incredibly fierce among them. The strongest individuals secure spots perfectly within the mixing zone. Weaker shrimp must settle for less productive peripheral vent areas. Their bacterial farms grow slower in these lower quality zones. Survival depends on maintaining access to the rich vent fluids. The sheer biomass of these shrimp swarms astounds visiting biologists. Up to 3,000 individuals can occupy 1 square meter. This density rivals the most productive ecosystems on the planet. Chemosynthesis supports this massive population without any solar energy input. The shrimp are primary consumers in the vent food web. They convert bacterial mass into complex animal tissue and energy. This conversion forms the foundation of the larger benthic ecosystem. Larger predators rely on the abundant shrimp for their survival. Crabs and deep ocean fish regularly hunt the distracted shrimp. The energy from the earth flows upward through the species. The metabolic rate of the blind shrimp remains surprisingly high. They expend massive amounts of energy swimming against vent currents. Their specialized swimming legs beat constantly to maintain their position. This continuous physical exertion demands a steady supply of calories. The bacterial gardens must produce food at an astonishing rate. The microbes utilize the reductive tricarboxylic acid cycle for energy. This specific biochemical pathway fixes carbon dioxide with supreme efficiency. It operates perfectly in the oxygen-poor waters down here. The bacteria convert dissolved carbon into complex sugars very rapidly. The shrimp consume these sugars to fuel their endless swimming. The internal anatomy of the shrimp reflects their unique diet. Their digestive tract features an enlarged midgut for storing food. This organ allows them to process large volumes of material. The midgut gland secretes specialized enzymes to break down bacteria. These enzymes target the complex lipids found in microbial membranes. The shrimp extract every available calorie from their tiny meals. Waste products exit the body and return to the ocean. Even their feces provide nutrients for other deep-sea scavengers. The cycle of matter continues endlessly in the dark abyss. Chemical energy constantly transforms into biological life at the vents. The juvenile shrimp employ a completely different early feeding strategy. They do not initially live near the active hydrothermal vents. Young shrimp float in the open ocean as tiny larvae. They rely on lipid reserves provided by their mother initially. Later they feed on organic detritus falling from the surface. This descending material is known commonly as marine snow drift. The larvae possess functional eyes to help locate glowing food. Their diet changes drastically when they locate a vent field. They settle onto the chimney and begin cultivating their bacteria. The transition from scavenging to farming marks their adult phase. The adult shrimp completely abandon their reliance on marine snow. They become entirely dependent on the chemical output of vents. This extreme specialization carries significant risks for the entire population. Hydrothermal vents are inherently unstable and temporary geological seafloor features. Magma channels beneath the crust can shift without any warning. A thriving vent chimney can suddenly cease producing chemical fluids. The vital flow of hydrogen sulfide stops completely and abruptly. Without the chemical fuel, the epibiotic bacteria quickly die off. The massive swarms of blind shrimp face immediate widespread starvation. They must migrate through the darkness to find new vents. Finding a new active vent requires immense energy and luck. The shrimp swim blindly across the freezing barren ocean floor. They rely on stored lipid reserves to survive the journey. Their bodies contain specialized fat deposits for these exact emergencies. These fats provide energy when the bacterial farms fail completely. The shrimp can survive several weeks without a fresh meal. They follow faint chemical trails in the deep ocean currents. Their sensory organs detect minute traces of distant sulfide plumes. The journey tests the limits of their physical endurance thoroughly. Many shrimp perish before locating a new source of energy. Those that succeed begin the farming process all over again. They locate the precise mixing zone of the new vent. The chemical receptors guide them to the optimal temperature gradient. Fresh bacteria colonize their gills and begin oxidizing the sulfides. The shrimp resume their scraping and grooming behaviors almost immediately. Energy flows once more from the earth into the animal. This resilience allows the species to survive geological vent changes. Their entire existence revolves around this fragile chemical energy chain. The deep-sea environment demands perfect adaptation for continued survival. The blind shrimp represent a masterpiece of evolutionary biological engineering. Scientists study these shrimp to understand early life on Earth. Ancient oceans likely featured similar hydrothermal vent ecosystems long ago. Chemosynthesis might predate photosynthesis in the history of our planet. The symbiotic relationship demonstrates how complex life can harness chemicals. The shrimp provide a living window into prehistoric survival strategies. Their bacterial farms mimic the earliest forms of organic production. Researchers analyze the specific enzymes used by the epibiotic microbes. These proteins function under extreme pressure and severe chemical stress. The biotechnology industry investigates these enzymes for potential medical applications. The secrets of the abyss hold value for human science. The feeding strategy of the shrimp involves constant delicate balance. They must manage the toxic nature of their chosen environment. Hydrogen sulfide disrupts cellular respiration in most normal animal tissues. The shrimp possess specialized blood proteins to handle the poison. Their hemocyanin binds the sulfide before it damages their cells. This adaptation transports the chemical safely to the waiting bacteria. The microbes neutralize the toxin while generating vital organic food. The shrimp effectively use their own blood as a pipeline. This internal transport system maximizes the efficiency of the farm. The mutual benefit ensures the survival of both distinct species. Methane provides another minor energy source for the vent ecosystems. Certain vent fluids contain high concentrations of dissolved methane gas. Methanotrophic bacteria specialize in consuming this specific carbon-based molecule. The blind shrimp occasionally host these methane consumers as well. This dietary flexibility helps them survive variable vent fluid compositions. If sulfide levels drop, the methane bacteria can provide energy. The shrimp adapt their bacterial crops to the local chemistry. They are master agriculturalists of the deep benthic ocean floor. Their survival mechanisms showcase the incredible adaptability of marine life. The dark abyss teems with this hidden, unseen biological activity. The cycle of energy remains trapped within the deep ocean. The sun plays absolutely no role in this food web. Geothermal heat drives the endless production of life-giving chemicals. The blind shrimp tirelessly harvest this bounty in the dark. Their scraping claws move with hypnotic rhythm across the rocks. The white bacterial mats sway gently in the heated currents. Life flourishes in a place once considered completely eternally barren. The blind shrimp stand as a testament to biological endurance. They survive and thrive on the toxic breath of volcanoes. Their unique feeding strategy illuminates the wonders of the deep. Deep-sea shrimp cultivate microbial gardens on their outer shells. This unique relationship defines life near hydrothermal vent chimney structures. Microscopic organisms thrive within the dark waters of the abyss. These tiny microbes process toxic minerals from the boiling vents. Hydrogen sulfide provides abundant energy for the growing bacterial colonies. The crustacean provides a mobile home for these vital partners. Specialized hairs cover the enlarged gill chambers of the shrimp. Researchers observe thick bacterial mats growing across these sweeping surfaces. The host animal grazes constantly upon its own cultivated harvest. Such biological partnerships allow survival in an otherwise barren wasteland. Sunlight cannot reach these extreme depths of the ocean floor. Photosynthesis remains completely impossible within this pitch-black aquatic environment. Life relies entirely upon chemical energy emerging from the crust. Chemosynthesis replaces traditional solar power in this strange underwater ecosystem. Bacteria extract vital electrons from dissolved inorganic compounds flowing upward. Geothermal heat drives the continuous emission of nutrient-rich fluids. Microbes convert dissolved carbon dioxide into usable organic sugar molecules. This foundational process supports massive swarms of blind abyssal shrimp. A single vent chimney may host thousands of swarming crustaceans. The shrimp position themselves perfectly within the turbulent chemical flow. Superheated water erupts from jagged fissures in the rocky seabed. Temperatures inside the vent chimneys often exceed 300 degrees. The surrounding deep ocean water remains near 2 degrees Celsius. Shrimp must navigate the dangerous gradient between freezing and boiling. They hover in comfortable zones measuring around 20 degrees Celsius. The vent fluid contains lethal concentrations of heavy metal isotopes. Dissolved copper and zinc precipitate rapidly upon contacting cold water. Hydrogen sulfide gas dissolves heavily into the dark rising plumes. Most marine animals would die instantly from such toxic exposure. The symbiotic bacteria require these exact toxins for metabolic function. The primary bacterial farms exist inside the expanded branchial chambers. A protective shell called the carapace covers these delicate gills. This outer armor creates a highly controlled internal fluid environment. Water flows continuously through the chamber to supply oxygenated fluid. The microbes attach firmly to the interior walls and appendages. Dense filamentous clusters of bacteria resemble miniature fields of wheat. The shrimp possesses highly modified mouthparts for tending this crop. These specialized limbs are scientifically known as the feeding maxillipeds. They constantly brush against the bacterial mats to harvest food. The crustacean essentially operates as a highly efficient swimming farm. The branchial chamber occupies an unusually large portion of anatomy. Evolutionary changes expanded this space to maximize bacterial growth surface. A structure called the scaphagnathyte pumps water through the gills. This biological pump beats rhythmically to maintain steady fluid circulation. Fresh vent fluid mixes with cold seawater inside the cavity. The bacteria receive a perfect blend of oxygen and sulfide. Too much oxygen would inhibit the delicate chemical extraction process. Too much sulfide would poison the host animal quite rapidly. The shrimp carefully regulates this balance by shifting its position. Tiny movements ensure the internal garden receives optimal chemical nutrients. Thousands of microscopic bristles line the inner surfaces of appendages. Biologists refer to these tiny hair structures as modified setae. Each individual bristle provides an anchor point for bacterial colonization. The setae increase the total available surface area quite dramatically. Some bristles feature complex branching patterns to hold more microbes. The bacteria secrete sticky substances to remain firmly attached there. Strong ocean currents cannot wash the precious agricultural harvest away. The shrimp actively grooms these bristles to remove dead cells. This constant maintenance keeps the bacterial garden healthy and productive. Healthy microbes multiply rapidly to replace the recently consumed organisms. Multiple distinct strains of bacteria inhabit the dark branchial chamber. Epsilon proteobacteria represent the most abundant microbial residents in this ecosystem. These specific microbes excel at oxidizing toxic hydrogen sulfide molecules. They utilize the released energy to construct complex carbon chains. The resulting organic matter sustains the entire deep-sea colony. Genetic analysis reveals highly specialized metabolic pathways within these cells. They can switch chemical strategies if the vent fluid changes. This biological flexibility ensures survival during unstable geological vent eruptions. The host relies entirely upon this incredible microscopic metabolic versatility. The partnership demonstrates millions of years of strict evolutionary refinement. Another crucial bacterial group lives alongside the primary sulfide oxidizers. Gamma Proteobacter process different chemical compounds emerging from the deep crust. Some of these specialized microbes can consume dissolved methane gas. Methane bubbles upward from the decomposition of ancient geological deposits. The bacteria capture this escaping gas before it drifts away. They incorporate the methane carbon directly into their cellular structures. This secondary energy source provides crucial nutritional diversity for shrimp. The dual farming strategy protects against sudden environmental chemical shifts. If sulfide levels drop, the methane consumers will multiply rapidly. The biological garden always provides sufficient calories for the host. The hydrothermal fluid carries dissolved iron particles from the mantle. Certain epibiotic bacteria utilize this iron for their metabolic processes. They oxidize the dissolved metal into solid rust-colored particles. These iron oxides accumulate heavily upon the protective outer carapace. The shrimp gradually develops a distinctive orange and brown coloration. This mineral crust makes the crustacean significantly heavier over time. The solid mineral deposits can eventually restrict normal joint movement. Heavy iron accumulation also blocks the vital internal water flow. The microbes inadvertently create a dangerous physical burden for hosts. The host must resolve this mineral buildup to survive continuously. Like all crustaceans, the blind shrimp must periodically shed exoskeletons. This vital molting process removes the accumulated heavy iron minerals. The animal slips out of its old restrictive mineralized shell. A soft, flexible new carapace expands to accommodate future growth. However, this necessary process creates a temporary biological crisis immediately. The discarded shell contains the entire cultivated bacterial food supply. The freshly molted shrimp suddenly possesses a completely sterile body. It has lost its vital agricultural garden in the darkness. The animal cannot feed itself until the microbes return completely. Survival depends upon the rapid recolonization of the empty gills. Free-floating bacteria constantly drift through the turbulent vent waters. The newly molted shrimp actively pumps this water across gills. Microbes quickly recognize the pristine biological surfaces of the appendages. They attach themselves to the bare setae within a day. The bacterial colony begins multiplying at an astonishing biological rate. The internal farming surfaces become fully covered within 2 days. The shrimp survives this brief fasting period using stored energy. Lipid reserves in the midgut provide necessary calories during molting. Soon the newly established garden produces abundant organic food again. The endless cycle of mineral accumulation and shedding continues forever. The actual consumption of the bacteria requires precise physical movements. The shrimp uses tiny clawed appendages to scrape the setae. These modified legs reach deep into the expanded gill chamber. They gently comb the thick microbial mats from the bristles. The harvested bacteria are then transferred directly to the mouth. This continuous grazing behavior occupies most of the waking hours. The animal must consume massive quantities to sustain its metabolism. Microscopic observations reveal the incredible efficiency of this harvesting process. The shrimp never completely strips the bristles of all bacteria. A small seed population always remains to regrow the crop. The internal digestive system exhibits remarkable evolutionary adaptations for symbiosis. The traditional crustacean stomach has become significantly reduced in size. Blind shrimp do not need to process large solid prey. Their primary diet consists entirely of soft microscopic bacterial cells. The midgut region has expanded to dominate the internal cavity. This enlarged organ absorbs dissolved nutrients with incredible chemical efficiency. Specialized enzymes break down the tough outer bacterial cell walls. The digestive tract often appears completely packed with microbial matter. Some scientists believe certain bacteria survive the initial digestive process. These surviving microbes may continue producing nutrients within the gut. The stomach contains a secondary population of unique symbiotic microbes. These internal residents differ slightly from the external gill bacteria. They belong primarily to the diverse Campylobacterota biological taxonomic group. Internal microbes assist in digesting complex organic molecules for absorption. They might also synthesize essential vitamins missing from the diet. The shrimp provides a safe, stable environment for these organisms. The gut remains protected from the violent external temperature fluctuations. This internal partnership represents an endosymbiotic relationship within the host. The crustacean relies on both external and internal microbial allies. Life in the abyss demands such complex layered biological cooperation. The hydrothermal vent environment contains extremely low dissolved oxygen levels. The warm water cannot hold much essential gas in solution. The shrimp must extract every available molecule of precious oxygen. Their blood contains a specialized copper-based protein called hemocyanin. This unique molecule binds oxygen tightly even in hypoxic conditions. Hemocyanin turns the crustacean blood a pale shade of blue. The high concentration of this protein allows sustained active swimming. The animal can hover in oxygen-depleted zones for hours. The bacteria also require oxygen to complete their chemical reactions. The host and the microbes constantly compete for available oxygen. Swarms of shrimp maintain their position using rapid tail movements. Their swimming creates artificial currents around the dense chimney structures. These tiny currents help mix the surrounding chemical fluid layers. The collective motion of thousands improves nutrient distribution for everyone. The shrimp essentially engineer their own local microfluid environment. They dance continuously along the invisible boundary of toxic water. If the vent flow decreases, the swarm moves slightly closer. If the heat rises, they retreat into the cooler darkness. This behavioral adaptation perfectly complements their internal biological symbiotic machinery. Every physical action serves the ultimate purpose of bacterial cultivation. Scientists study this relationship using advanced chemical carbon isotope analysis. Different carbon sources leave distinct chemical signatures within animal tissues. Photosynthetic carbon from the surface has a specific measurable ratio. Chemosynthetic carbon from the vents displays a completely different signature. The tissue of the blind shrimp shows pure vent signatures. This proves they consume absolutely nothing from the surface world. They are completely disconnected from the distant solar energy web. The isotopic data confirms their total reliance upon the bacteria. Researchers can track the flow of nutrients through the colony. The microbes form the absolute base of this isolated ecosystem. Giant tube worms also utilize chemosynthetic bacteria for their survival. However, the worms keep their microbes trapped inside internal organs. The worms have completely lost their mouths and digestive tracts. The blind shrimp represents a very different evolutionary survival strategy. By keeping the bacteria external, the shrimp retains behavioral flexibility. It can actively manage the environment of its microbial garden. It can clean the farming surfaces to prevent parasitic infections. The external farm allows the crustacean to remain highly mobile. If a vent stops flowing, the shrimp can swim away. The immobile tube worms simply perish when the fluid stops. The symbiotic relationship begins early in the crustacean life cycle. Larval shrimp hatch and float upward into the water column. They spend their early months feeding upon standard marine snow. These young animals have functional eyes and normal digestive systems. Eventually they must descend back to the active hydrothermal vents. During this descent, their biological anatomy undergoes a radical transformation. The conventional eyes degrade and the specialized dorsal organ develops. The gill chambers expand to prepare for the bacterial colonization. The newly arrived juveniles acquire their first crucial microbial partners. They transition completely from surface feeders to deep-sea farmers. The blind shrimp perfectly exemplifies the power of biological cooperation. Two entirely different domains of life merge into one system. The crustacean provides mobility and precise environmental chemical control mechanisms. The bacteria provide endless metabolic energy from toxic volcanic gases. Neither organism could dominate this extreme environment without the other. Their silent partnership illuminates the dark depths of the ocean. Evolution has crafted an elegant solution for deep-sea survival. The intricate microbial gardens remain hidden within the crushing abyss. These tiny biological farms sustain massive, thriving communities of life. The hydrothermal vent ecosystem depends entirely upon this beautiful synergy. Blind shrimp move gracefully through the crushing deep ocean water. They navigate total darkness using highly sensitive chemical receptor organs. Their tiny legs propel them across jagged mineral chimney structures. Swarms of these creatures hover continuously above boiling thermal vents. Each individual shrimp maintains a precise distance from the heat. Movement requires careful energy management in this extreme benthic environment. They swim backward quickly to escape sudden bursts of heat. Forward motion relies on delicate paddles located beneath their abdomens. These swimmerets beat rhythmically to create steady currents of water. The water flows smoothly over their specialized bacterial gill chambers. Daily activities revolve entirely around cultivating their internal microbial gardens. They scrape dissolved minerals from the rocky hydrothermal vent walls. Tiny claws transfer these chemical nutrients to their mouth parts. This farming behavior continues without any pause for solar cycles. Sunlight never reaches these depths to dictate a natural rhythm. Without day or night, the shrimp remain active at random. Some individuals rest briefly while clinging to cold basalt rocks. Others constantly reposition themselves within the dense biological living cloud. The colony functions almost like a single massive breathing organism. Social behavior centers around sharing optimal zones of chemical flow. Millions of Rhimicaris exoculata gather in incredibly tight spatial formations. Population densities often exceed 3,000 individuals per square meter. They constantly jostle for prime positions near the nutrient streams. This gentle pushing creates a mesmerizing wave across the swarm. Antennae touch frequently to communicate spatial boundaries between neighboring shrimp. Chemical signals pass between them during these brief physical encounters. They do not show aggressive territorial behavior toward their kind. Cooperation ensures the survival of the entire deep-sea community. Thermal currents constantly shift the location of safe feeding zones. The swarm moves collectively to follow these wandering invisible plumes. Finding the perfect temperature gradient requires constant physical spatial adjustment. Water leaving the chimney core exceeds 300 degrees Celsius. Surrounding ocean water remains near a freezing 2 degrees Celsius. Shrimp seek a comfortable mixing zone around 20 degrees Celsius. They dance back and forth across this invisible thermal boundary. Thermal receptors on their bodies detect minor fluctuations in heat. A sudden temperature spike causes an immediate synchronized retreat response. They drift outward into the cold abyss until conditions stabilize. Slowly they creep back toward the comforting warmth of vents. This rhythmic expansion and contraction resembles a beating biological heart. Juvenile blind shrimp behave very differently from the mature adults. Young larvae drift freely through the open pelagic water column. They rely on stored energy reserves from their original eggs. Eventually they must locate an active hydrothermal vent to settle. The descent into the abyss marks a major lifestyle transition. Settling juveniles undergo dramatic physical transformations upon reaching the bottom. They lose their remaining visual organs during this final molt. Their behavior shifts from free swimming to bottom-dwelling crawling. They join the massive adult swarm surrounding the mineral chimneys. The newly arrived shrimp immediately begin farming their symbiotic bacteria. Grooming occupies a significant portion of their daily routine activities. Specialized appendages constantly brush their carapace to remove unwanted debris. This cleaning prevents harmful parasitic organisms from taking hold there. It also ensures their cultivated bacteria receive adequate water circulation. They meticulously clean their sensory antennae to maintain environmental awareness. Blind shrimp share their habitat with various other specialized creatures. Squat lobsters frequently patrol the edges of the shrimp swarms. The shrimp simply part ways to let these crustaceans pass. They avoid direct confrontation by utilizing their superior swimming agility. Vent crabs sometimes hunt near the periphery of the colony. To evade predators, the shrimp employ rapid tail-flicking maneuvers. One strong contraction propels them several inches through the water. They disappear into the murky clouds of suspended mineral sulfides. Once danger passes, they slowly return to their feeding positions. Their lack of sight does not hinder this evasive action. Water pressure at 3,000 meters heavily influences their movement. Their bodies contain specialized proteins to maintain fluid cellular functions. They glide smoothly despite the immense weight of the ocean. Every motion appears deliberate and perfectly adapted to the pressure. Buoyancy control allows them to hover effortlessly above the seafloor. Molting represents a critical and dangerous phase of their lives. They must shed their rigid exoskeleton to accommodate physical growth. A shrimp preparing to molt retreats to a quiet crevice. It stops feeding and relies entirely on stored internal energy. The old rigid shell splits open across their upper back. The soft creature carefully extracts its delicate legs and antennae. It remains perfectly still while the new protective armor hardens. During this vulnerable time it avoids all contact with others. Once hardened, it rejoins the bustling activity of the swarm. This shedding process occurs multiple times throughout their adult lifespan. Communication relies heavily on the distribution of specific chemical pheromones. They release scent molecules into the surrounding warm water currents. Other shrimp detect these invisible trails using their primary antennae. This chemical language helps coordinate the massive reproductive swarming events. It also warns the colony about the presence of predators. The Alvinochorididae family exhibits fascinating variations in their feeding behaviors. Some species actively hunt tiny copepods living near the vents. Others remain strictly vegetarian by consuming only their farmed bacteria. They adapt their lifestyle to the local vent water chemistry. Hydrogen sulfide concentrations dictate the density of the bacterial harvests. Shrimp living along the deep oceanic ridge show unique behaviors. They form distinct spatial layers based on their physical size. Larger adults occupy the most turbulent zones near the heat. Smaller juveniles remain on the calmer outer swarm boundary edges. This hierarchical structure minimizes aggressive competition for limited food resources. They navigate the complex three-dimensional architecture of the chimneys. Some vents form towering spires reaching 20 meters in height. The shrimp scale these vertical walls with incredible climbing dexterity. Their hooked claws grip tiny imperfections in the smooth minerals. They rarely lose their footing even in strong ocean currents. When dislodged by a strong current, they simply drift downward. They spread their appendages to slow their descent through water. Once they touch the bottom, they begin the climb again. This persistent behavior ensures they always return to the food. The journey back up the chimney requires significant energy expenditure. Sound plays an unknown role in their dark, silent world. Hydrothermal vents produce a constant low-frequency rumbling acoustic noise. The shrimp might sense these vibrations through their delicate legs. This tactile feedback could help them locate new active vents. They constantly tap the rock surface as they walk forward. Their sensory world consists entirely of touch and chemical taste. They taste the water to assess the concentration of minerals. High concentrations of iron provoke an immediate feeding response behavior. They gather where the black smoke billows from the crust. These toxic clouds provide the essential ingredients for their survival. Life at the bottom of the ocean moves very slowly. The shrimp conserve oxygen by minimizing unnecessary rapid physical movements. Their slow crawling pace reflects the cold abyssal ocean nature. Only the immediate threat of boiling water causes sudden speed. Otherwise, they exist in a state of tranquil, continuous motion. Females carry their developing eggs securely attached to their abdomens. They gently aerate the clutch by fanning their rear swimmerets. This maternal behavior ensures the embryos receive enough dissolved oxygen. The mothers protect their young from the harsh acidic environment. They seek sheltered crevices away from the main turbulent flow. Hatching occurs synchronously to maximize the survival of the offspring. Thousands of microscopic larvae release into the water column simultaneously. The adults ignore the departing young and continue their farming. There is no ongoing parental care after the initial hatching. The cycle of life continues uninterrupted in the eternal darkness. Occasionally, an entire hydrothermal vent system will suddenly shut down. The flow of life-giving chemicals completely ceases without warning. When this happens, the shrimp swarm exhibits signs of panic. They frantically search the immediate area for alternative mineral sources. Eventually, the entire colony must migrate to survive the famine. Migration involves swimming long distances across the barren abyssal plains. Many individuals perish during this desperate journey between thermal vents. They follow faint chemical traces hoping to find new habitats. Successful migrants establish completely new colonies on distant active chimneys. This dispersal behavior ensures the genetic diversity of the species. Their daily existence lacks the familiar markers of passing time. No tides influence the deep currents at these profound depths. No seasonal temperature changes signal the arrival of different months. They experience a perfectly stable climate year-round without fail. This environmental stability allows them to maintain highly specialized lifestyles. Researchers observe these creatures using remotely operated deep-sea vehicles. The bright lights of the submarines do not disturb them. Lacking functional eyes, they remain completely unaware of the illumination. They continue their normal foraging routines despite the mechanical intruders. This provides scientists with perfect opportunities to study natural behaviors. Sometimes the shrimp gather around the metallic arms of rovers. They explore the foreign objects with their long sensory antennae. Finding no nutritional value, they quickly abandon the metal structures. Their curiosity is driven purely by the need for sustenance. Every action serves the ultimate goal of gathering chemical energy. The symbiotic relationship dictates every aspect of their physical behavior. They are completely enslaved to the needs of their bacteria. If the bacteria require more sulfur, the shrimp must move. If the bacteria need more oxygen, the shrimp swim higher. They function as living mobile greenhouses for their microscopic crops. Interactions between different shrimp species reveal complex deep ecosystem dynamics. Coracaris chassae often shares the exact same chimney structure habitats. These different species occupy slightly different thermal niches to coexist. They avoid direct competition by harvesting different types of minerals. This spatial partitioning allows massive populations to thrive together peacefully. Sleep, as we understand it, does not exist for them. They enter periods of reduced metabolic activity to save energy. During these quiet phases, they remain motionless on the rocks. Their internal systems slow down while they digest their food. These resting periods last only until hunger drives them forward. The constant flow of the vent fluid provides endless rhythm. They sway gently in time with the pulsing subterranean geysers. This hypnotic motion creates a calming effect across the colony. Millions of tiny bodies moving in perfect harmony is beautiful. It represents a masterpiece of biological adaptation and behavioral engineering. Chemical ecology governs the social structure of the abyssal shrimp. They identify their kin through unique molecular signatures in water. This recognition prevents them from straying too far from home. A lost shrimp will swim in expanding circles to search. Finding a familiar scent trail guides it back to safety. The sheer volume of life here defies all logical expectations. In a realm devoid of sunlight, biology finds another way. The blind shrimp stands as a testament to behavioral resilience. They have conquered the most inhospitable environment on our planet. Their simple routines sustain a vast web of deep life. Every scrape of a claw contributes to the ecosystem's survival. Every synchronized movement helps maintain the delicate balance of heat. They are the tireless workers of the deep ocean floor. Their lives consist of endless walking through the dark waters. They harvest the toxic earth to create pure biological energy. As currents shift, the entire colony breathes and moves together. It is a slow and deliberate dance in the dark. The gentle clicking of their shells provides a silent soundtrack. They require nothing from the sunlit world far above them. Their reality is defined entirely by heat and chemical taste. We can learn much from their peaceful and cooperative existence. They share their harsh world without conflict or violent struggle. The abyss provides exactly what they need to survive forever. Their endless rhythmic lifestyle brings a strange sense of peace. The blind shrimp continue their silent watch over the vents. The blind shrimp navigates the deep ocean without any vision. Total darkness requires completely different methods of understanding the environment. These tiny creatures rely entirely upon chemical and tactile cues. Water carries invisible signals across vast distances in the abyss. Their delicate bodies interpret these subtle messages with incredible precision. Finding a hydrothermal vent requires highly specialized biological sensory equipment. Evolution shaped their anatomy to perceive things we cannot imagine. Every passing current brings new information about their surrounding habitat. They read the ocean chemistry like a detailed geographic map. Survival depends upon interpreting these aquatic whispers with absolute accuracy. Two pairs of antennae extend from the front sensory region. The primary antennules constantly flick through the cold ocean water. This rapid movement samples dissolved molecules from the surrounding fluid. Secondary antennae sweep wider arcs to monitor broader spatial changes. These elongated structures function as their primary connection to reality. Thousands of microscopic bristles cover the surface of each appendage. Water flows smoothly across these complex biological filtering sensory networks. Dissolved minerals bind temporarily to specific receptor sites upon contact. Nerve impulses travel instantly from the appendages toward the brain. The shrimp processes these incoming signals without any visual distraction. Scientists call these specialized olfactory hairs by the name esthetasks. Rimicaris exoculator possesses unusually dense clusters of these sensory organs. Each individual hair contains hundreds of sensitive sensory nerve dendrites. A thin cuticle allows dissolved chemicals to penetrate the hair. This permeability ensures rapid detection of vital environmental chemical shifts. The sheer number of receptors provides an incredibly detailed smell. They can detect mineral concentrations at extremely low background levels. This acute sensitivity allows them to track very faint plumes. Their chemical perception rivals the most advanced human laboratory equipment. These dense sensory forests replace the need for functional eyes. Hydrothermal vents release massive quantities of dissolved hydrogen sulfide gas. This toxic compound provides the foundational energy for their ecosystem. The shrimp follow increasing concentrations of sulfide through the darkness. Iron and manganese particles also provide crucial navigational chemical signposts. Vent plumes drift horizontally along deep ocean bottom water currents. The shrimp swim across these currents to locate the center. They measure the slight differences in concentration between their antennae. This stereo smelling capability pinpoints the exact origin of minerals. Chemical gradients guide them directly toward the active chimney structures. They navigate this invisible chemical landscape with pure instinctual grace. Their neurological architecture reflects this profound shift in sensory priorities. The brain of a blind shrimp looks completely uniquely structured. Optic lobes have shrunk into tiny remnants of past evolution. Olfactory processing centers now dominate their entire central nervous system. Massive bundles of neurons connect the antennae to the brain. These enlarged olfactory lobes process millions of chemical signals simultaneously. They construct a three-dimensional chemical representation of their surroundings. This mental map updates continuously as new water flows past. Their memory likely stores specific chemical signatures of different vents. Such brain specialization requires significant energy in the dark depths. Chemical senses alone cannot prevent collisions with solid rock walls. The shrimp also utilize an incredibly sophisticated tactile sensory system. Mechanoreceptors cover their entire outer shell in a dense grid. These tiny sensors detect microscopic changes in local water pressure. Approaching a solid object alters the flow of displaced water. The shrimp feel this pressure wave before making physical contact. This hydrodynamic imaging allows them to avoid dangerous boiling vents. They swim gracefully through dense crowds of other deep creatures. Every movement creates a distinct ripple in the surrounding fluid. They perceive these ripples to track neighbors and avoid predators. Long sensory bristles called setae line their delicate walking legs. These stiff hairs detect physical vibrations traveling through the rock. Hydrothermal fluid rushing through mineral chimneys creates constant low rumbles. The shrimp feel these acoustic vibrations through their sensitive feet. Different types of vents produce uniquely identifiable seismic acoustic signatures. Black smokers rumble with intense power at very low frequencies. The shrimp use this vibrational information to judge vent proximity. Tactile feedback helps them maintain their grip on steep chimneys. They can sense the tiny footsteps of approaching predatory crabs. The solid earth communicates its secrets directly through their legs. The most fascinating adaptation involves their highly modified visual system. Normal compound eyes on stalks have completely vanished over time. A strange reflective patch now sits upon their upper back. Scientists call this unique structure the specialized dorsal thoracic organ. This organ contains light-sensitive tissue packed with rhodopsin pigments. It cannot form images or resolve any distinct visual shapes. The organ functions instead as a massive naked retina sensor. A thin transparent shell protects this delicate tissue from damage. Two large lobes connect directly to their modified brain structures. This organ represents a brilliant evolutionary compromise in the abyss. The dorsal organ serves a very specific and vital purpose. It detects faint thermal radiation emitted by hot vent fluid. Water exiting black smokers reaches temperatures of 400 degrees. This extreme heat generates a very dim infrared blackbody glow. Human eyes cannot perceive this invisible spectrum of thermal light. The shrimp uses its dorsal organ to see this heat. The glowing vents appear as bright beacons in the dark. This thermal vision prevents them from swimming into boiling water. It acts as a crucial warning system against instant death. They hover safely just outside the lethal zone of heat. Temperature changes rapidly in the water surrounding a hydrothermal vent. The ambient deep ocean water remains near 2 degrees Celsius. Active chimney fluids exceed 350 degrees Celsius. These two extremes mix violently in a chaotic turbulent zone. The shrimp must find the perfect intermediate temperature for survival. They prefer waters ranging from 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. Specialized thermal receptors on their antennae monitor the water constantly. A sudden spike in heat triggers an immediate escape reflex. Their nervous system reacts faster than human eyes can blink. They navigate this steep temperature gradient with absolute perfect precision. Maintaining a stable body temperature requires constant physical movement adjustments. This process is known in biology as active behavioral thermoregulation. The shrimp swarm continuously shifts position around the active chimney. When the water grows too cold, they move slightly closer. If the current shifts and brings heat, they retreat backward. Millions of individuals perform this synchronized thermal dance every minute. The swarm resembles a living, breathing organism pulsating with heat. Their internal chemistry functions optimally only within this narrow band. Too much cold slows their metabolism into a sluggish state. Too much heat destroys their delicate internal cellular protein structures. Occasional exposure to extreme heat remains an unavoidable daily risk. The shrimp possess biological defenses against these sudden thermal spikes. Their cells produce specialized molecules called heat shock repair proteins. These proteins act as microscopic chaperones for other vital molecules. High temperatures normally cause cellular proteins to unfold and tangle. Heat shock proteins bind to these structures to maintain stability. They fold damaged proteins back into their correct functional shapes. This cellular rescue mechanism operates constantly in the mixing zone. It provides a crucial buffer against sudden bursts of heat. Without this adaptation, the shrimp would perish in the currents. Temperature represents only one extreme challenge in the deep ocean. The crushing weight of water creates immense hydrostatic physical pressure. These shrimp live at depths exceeding 3,000 dark meters. The mid-Atlantic ridge features valleys plunging even deeper downward. Pressure here reaches 300 times normal surface atmospheric levels. This immense force compresses biological tissues and alters chemical reactions. Human lungs would collapse instantly under such overwhelming physical weight. The shrimp thrive here without any rigid internal skeletal support. Their bodies remain perfectly balanced with the surrounding external pressure. Water flows freely through their tissues to equalize the forces. High pressure normally causes flexible cell membranes to become rigid. A frozen membrane cannot transport nutrients or transmit nerve signals. The blind shrimp solves this problem through unique lipid chemistry. Their cell walls contain high levels of unsaturated fatty acids. These crooked molecules prevent the membrane from packing too tightly. The tissues remain fluid and functional despite the crushing weight. This adaptation mirrors how antifreeze prevents water from becoming solid. Sensory nerves require this fluidity to fire their electrical impulses. Without flexible membranes, their entire nervous system would completely fail. Evolution engineered their fundamental building blocks for this specific depth. Pressure also forces water molecules into the interior of proteins. This intrusion breaks delicate chemical bonds and destroys enzyme function. Deep-sea creatures must protect their biological machinery from compression. The shrimp utilize special stabilizing molecules within their cellular fluid. These compounds prevent water from crushing their vital internal structures. The enzymes of the shrimp feature stronger internal chemical bonds. Their molecular architecture resists the physical squeezing of the ocean. Digestion and respiration continue normally under 300 atmospheric bars. Their sensory receptors maintain their shape to detect chemical signals. Every single protein reflects a legacy of deep oceanic survival. Scientists call these pressure-resisting chemicals by the name piezolites. Trimethylamine oxide acts as the most important piezolite molecule here. This compound gives many deep-sea animals their distinctive smell. The shrimp accumulate massive quantities of this chemical inside cells. It binds tightly to water molecules to prevent protein damage. The concentration of this molecule increases directly with ocean depth. Shrimp living at deeper vent sites require more cellular protection. This chemical armor allows them to colonize the deepest trenches. They can migrate between different depths without suffering cellular collapse. Chemistry provides the ultimate shield against the crushing deep abyss. The snake pit field sits 3,400 meters deep. A shad's one represents the deepest vent at 4,000 meters. Blind shrimp inhabit these extreme locations across the ocean floor. The pressure at a shad's reaches 400 atmospheres of force. Water density increases slightly under such immense gravitational physical squeezing. The shrimp navigate this dense fluid with remarkable swimming agility. Their sensory hairs must push through thicker water to function. The mechanics of smelling change when water becomes this compressed. Diffusion rates slow down dramatically in a high-pressure environment. Their hypersensitive antennae compensate for this sluggish chemical diffusion process. The interface between hot and cold water creates sensory chaos. Swirling currents distort the chemical pathways leading to the vents. Shimmering water bends the faint infrared light from the chimneys. The shrimp process this confusing sensory input without any hesitation. They constantly update their internal map of the turbulent zone. Their brain filters out background noise to find clear signals. They distinguish between safe warm currents and deadly boiling plumes. This rapid processing allows them to feed in dangerous locations. They graze on bacterial mats growing mere inches from death. Sensory mastery turns a lethal environment into a thriving home. These sensory adaptations also facilitate complex social interactions between shrimp. Millions of individuals gather in dense swarms around the chimneys. They must avoid crashing into each other in the dark. Chemical signals likely help them identify members of their species. Pheromones released into the water coordinate their massive group movements. Tactile feedback keeps the swarm tightly packed but perfectly spaced. They sense the rhythmic swimming motions of their nearest neighbors. This collective awareness prevents the swarm from dispersing into darkness. Predators like vent crabs emit distinct chemical and acoustic signatures. The shrimp detect these threats and scatter into the water. The blind shrimp experiences a rich world devoid of light. Their reality consists of shifting temperatures and complex chemical flavors. They feel the deep ocean through vibrations and pressure waves. Evolution replaced their eyes with incredibly sophisticated environmental monitoring systems. They thrive in conditions that would destroy most known life. Their survival proves the astonishing adaptability of the biological form. The hydrothermal vent remains a harsh but generous deep provider. These tiny creatures understand its secrets better than any human. They continue their eternal dance in the warm mineral currents. The dark abyss remains their perfect and permanent sensory sanctuary. Deep within the dark abyssal ocean, reproduction begins very quietly. Blind shrimp must rely on chemical signals to find mates. Pheromones drift slowly through the cold deep ocean water currents. Male shrimp detect these faint traces using their sensitive antennae. They swim toward the chemical source with careful, deliberate movements. Mating usually occurs near the edges of active hydrothermal vents. The ambient ocean water temperature remains near 2 degrees Celsius. Female shrimp release specific compounds when they become fully mature. Adult males transfer small packets of sperm to the females. These spermatophores attach very securely beneath the protective female abdomen. Fertilization happens externally after the female extrudes her unfertilized eggs. She pushes the soft eggs out from her internal ovaries. The eggs pass over the stored sperm packets during release. Thousands of tiny eggs become fertilized in the frigid water. A sticky secretion binds these delicate eggs to her swimmerets. Swimmerets are small appendages located under the lower tail section. The female carries this large egg mass for several months. This brooding strategy protects the developing embryos from hungry predators. She constantly fans her swimmerets to provide oxygenated water circulation. Proper aeration prevents harmful fungal growth on the developing brood. The species Rimicaris exoculator produces unusually large clusters of eggs. A single mature female might carry 2,000 individual eggs. Each spherical egg measures about half a millimeter in diameter. The eggs contain rich yolk reserves for early embryonic nourishment. Deep ocean pressure exceeds 300 atmospheres at this depth. Embryos develop slowly under such extreme environmental stress and darkness. Toxic minerals from the vent chimney occasionally cover the eggs. The mother shrimp diligently cleans her brood with specialized legs. She gently scrapes away accumulating sulfide dust from the shells. Maintaining clean eggs ensures proper respiration for the growing embryos. Inside the transparent egg membranes, tiny shrimp bodies take shape. Microscopic limbs form gradually over a period of many weeks. The embryos consume their internal yolk supplies to fuel growth. Pigment spots appear on the embryos as they mature further. These spots are early precursors to their temporary larval eyes. Unlike adults, the larval shrimp will temporarily possess functional vision. This visual capability helps them navigate the brighter upper ocean. The mother moves closer to warm vent fluids before hatching. Slightly warmer water accelerates the final stages of embryonic development. She must carefully avoid water exceeding 30 degrees Celsius, however. Hatching occurs rapidly once the embryos reach full physical maturity. The mother shakes her abdomen vigorously to release the larvae. Thousands of microscopic zoea larvae burst into the dark water. They are totally defenseless and measure only 1 millimeter long. The newly hatched larvae immediately begin swimming upward towards safety. Hydrothermal vent fields harbor too many predators for tiny larvae. Adult shrimp and predatory crabs would easily consume the newborns. Buoyant thermal plumes from the vent assist their upward journey. The warm rising water carries them away from the seafloor. They drift passively into the vast pelagic zones above them. These larvae migrate vertically through thousands of meters of water. They journey from the abyssal zone toward the sunlit surface. This massive vertical migration takes several weeks to fully complete. The larvae enter a completely different ecological realm up high. Sunlight penetrates the upper ocean layers to support photosynthetic life. Phytoplankton bloom abundantly in these nutrient-rich surface water zones. The shrimp larvae feast upon these floating microscopic plant cells. Their compound eyes function perfectly in this bright pelagic environment. They use their vision to hunt tiny zooplankton and algae. Feeding in surface waters allows them to accumulate vital energy. The larvae progress through multiple distinct stages of physical development. They shed their rigid exoskeletons repeatedly as their bodies expand. This molting process requires significant energy and leaves them vulnerable. Each successive molt brings them closer to their adult form. The early zoea stage transitions into the more advanced myces. Myces larvae possess stronger swimming legs for better aquatic mobility. They navigate ocean currents to avoid being swept too far. Ocean circulation patterns transport them across vast distances of sea. This prolonged planktonic phase promotes widespread genetic mixing between populations. Larvae from different vent fields mingle in the open ocean. After several months, the larvae accumulate large reserves of lipids. These fat stores appear as visible orange droplets inside them. Lipid accumulation is crucial for their eventual journey back down. The deep ocean offers very little food for migrating juveniles. They must rely entirely on stored energy during the descent. The final larval stage is known scientifically as the decapodid. Decapodid larvae prepare for a dramatic physiological transformation and migration. They stop feeding on surface plankton and begin sinking downward. Gravity pulls their increasingly dense bodies back into the abyss. The descent covers 3,000 meters of increasingly cold water. The returning juveniles must locate an active hydrothermal vent field. Finding a vent in the vast ocean floor is difficult. Scientists believe they detect chemical signatures from the thermal plumes. Hydrogen sulfide dissolved in the water acts as a beacon. Their sensitive antennae pick up these dissolved chemical trail markers. The juveniles swim against the deep currents to find vents. As they descend into darkness, their eyes begin to degenerate. Visual organs are useless in the pitch-black abyssal depths. The energy required to maintain eyes is reallocated to survival. Their once functional stalked eyes slowly shrink and become blind. A new sensory organ develops on their dorsal carapace area. This specialized organ will detect faint thermal radiation from vents. The transformation from seeing larva to blind juvenile is complete. They arrive at the hydrothermal vent looking like miniature adults. The juveniles measure roughly 15 millimeters in total body length. They settle on the rocky basalt surfaces near the chimneys. Their arrival marks the beginning of their adult benthic lifestyle. The young shrimp must quickly establish their unique symbiotic relationships. Chemosynthetic bacteria begin colonizing the enlarged gill chambers almost immediately. These bacteria will provide all future nutrition for the shrimp. The juveniles molt frequently as they consume the bacterial harvest. Rapid growth is essential to avoid predation by larger crabs. They graze constantly on the thick microbial mats covering rocks. The vent environment provides a limitless supply of bacterial food. Within 1 year, the juveniles reach full adult sexual maturity. Adult blind shrimp can grow to 5 centimeters in length. Their bodies turn a pale white color in the darkness. The dense swarms of adults create a moving living carpet. Competition for the best thermal zones is fierce but silent. Mature shrimp continuously shuffle around the actively venting mineral chimneys. The reproductive cycle repeats annually for these deep ocean inhabitants. Females synchronize their egg production with the changing ocean seasons. Even at 3,000 meters, seasonal surface changes influence reproduction. Falling organic matter from spring blooms triggers their mating instincts. This synchronization ensures larvae reach the surface during food abundance. The timing maximizes the survival chances of their tiny offspring. Adult females invest massive amounts of energy into egg production. Their ovaries expand, filling a large portion of their bodies. Producing thousands of lipid-rich eggs drains their nutritional reserves. They must farm bacteria aggressively to sustain this reproductive effort. The lifespan of a blind shrimp remains a scientific mystery. Researchers estimate they live between 5 and 10 total years. Aging deep-sea creatures is notoriously difficult without bony structures. Shrimp lose all hard age markers during their frequent molts. Scientists study their growth rates to estimate maximum potential lifespans. Life near a boiling hydrothermal vent is incredibly hazardous daily. Sudden shifts in vent fluid flow can boil them alive. Chimney collapses frequently crush hundreds of adult shrimp without warning. Despite these constant dangers, the population numbers remain astonishingly high. A single square meter can host over 2,000 individuals. Successful reproduction is vital for sustaining such massive shrimp colonies. Not all larvae survive the perilous journey to the surface. Most succumb to starvation or pelagic predators along the way. Only a tiny fraction return safely to the vent fields. This high mortality rate explains the incredibly large brood sizes. The species relies on sheer numbers to guarantee future generations. Genetic studies reveal fascinating connections between distant blind shrimp populations. Ocean currents carry larvae across the entire mid-Atlantic ridge. This widespread dispersal prevents dangerous inbreeding within isolated vent communities. Healthy genetic diversity helps them adapt to toxic chemical changes. The exact triggers for adult molting remain under intense study. Molting allows physical growth but briefly leaves the shrimp defenseless. The new exoskeleton takes several hours to harden completely solid. During this vulnerable time, they hide within small rocky crevices. Females cannot mate or carry eggs while their shells harden. Mating must occur shortly after the female completes a molt. Her shell is soft enough to receive the male spermatophores. The male carefully deposits his genetic material near her oviducts. He uses modified front legs to manipulate the sperm packets. This delicate operation happens in absolute darkness under immense pressure. Some deep-sea shrimp species exhibit hermaphroditic life cycle traits. They may begin life as males before transitioning into females. However, Rimicaris exoculator maintains distinct separate sexes throughout its life. Males and females look physically identical to the naked eye. Only microscopic examination reveals their different reproductive appendage structural designs. The ratio of males to females is generally perfectly equal. This balanced population structure maximizes overall reproductive efficiency and output. They do not form long-lasting monogamous pairs or bonds. Mating is a brief encounter driven entirely by chemical instincts. The male departs immediately after successfully transferring his sperm packets. The mother shrimp bears the entire burden of parental care. She protects the developing eggs until they successfully hatch out. Her dedication ensures the next generation of blind shrimp survives. The deep ocean floor is a harsh and unforgiving environment. Only perfectly adapted life forms can successfully reproduce in this abyss. The life cycle of the blind shrimp is a biological marvel. It bridges the gap between the sunlit surface and darkness. Their journey connects two completely alien worlds within our ocean. The tiny larvae experience the bright sun and floating algae. The adults know only the crushing blackness and boiling vents. As adults age, their efficiency at farming bacteria slowly declines. Older shrimp may struggle to maintain their dense microbial gardens. Their specialized feeding appendages become worn down from constant scraping. Without adequate nutrition, their reproductive output drops off very significantly. Eventually, these older individuals succumb to the harsh vent conditions. Their bodies are quickly consumed by scavenging crabs and amphipods. Nothing goes to waste in the nutrient-starved deep sea. The organic matter from fallen adults sustains the surrounding ecosystem. This continuous cycle of life and death fuels the vents. New generations constantly replace the old in a seamless rhythm. Studying this complex life cycle requires advanced deep-sea submersible technology. Scientists capture live larvae using specialized suction tubes and traps. Rearing these delicate creatures in surface laboratories is extremely difficult. Replicating the extreme pressure changes proves to be nearly impossible. Most captured larvae perish before completing their final metamorphic stages. Therefore, much of their life cycle is pieced together from observation. Researchers analyze preserved specimens collected at various depths and times. Chemical isotopes in their tissues reveal their past feeding habits. Carbon signatures confirm the larval diet of photosynthetic surface plankton. Nitrogen isotopes track their gradual shift toward deep chemosynthetic bacteria. The blind shrimp represents a triumph of evolutionary biological engineering. Their reproduction strategy perfectly exploits the available deep ocean resources. They conquer the abyss by utilizing both surface and depths. Every stage of their life serves a specific survival purpose. From floating zoea to blind adult, the transformation is spectacular. They thrive where most other marine life would instantly perish. The hydrothermal vents continue to host these magnificent swarming creatures. Their silent mating rituals proceed undisturbed by the human world. Millions of tiny eggs hatch into the cold dark waters. The eternal cycle of the blind vent shrimp continues onward. Blind shrimp anchor the complex food web of hydrothermal vents. They harvest specialized bacteria from their own external body surfaces. This unique farming method provides essential nutrients to the colony. Millions of individuals gather around towering mineral chimneys in darkness. Their constant movement helps circulate warm water among the swarms. By consuming microbial mats, they control bacterial growth on rocks. The shrimp convert raw chemical energy into accessible biological mass. Larger predators rely heavily on these massive crustacean populations daily. Eelpouts and squat lobsters frequently hunt along the swarm edges. Without these tiny farmers, the local vent ecosystem would collapse. Dead shrimp fall into the lower crevices of the seabed. Scavenging amphipods quickly consume these remains in the cold depths. Nutrients cycle continuously through this isolated biological community without sunlight. The shrimp shells provide calcium for microscopic organisms living nearby. Molted exoskeletons drift away on slow ocean bottom water currents. Filter feeders capture these drifting organic particles for vital sustenance. Rimicaris exoculator represents a perfect adaptation to extreme environmental pressure. Their dense clusters create microhabitats for smaller parasitic copepod species. Symbiotic relationships define every aspect of survival in this abyss. The shrimp serve as primary consumers in a sunless world. Chemosynthesis replaces photosynthesis entirely within these deep ocean biological networks. Hydrogen sulfide acts as the fundamental energy source for life. The shrimp manage these toxic compounds with remarkable biological efficiency. Their gills filter heavy metals from the scalding vent fluids. Specialized internal organs sequester harmful elements away from vital tissues. This detoxification process cleans the surrounding water for other species. Anemones anchor themselves safely to rocks cleared by grazing shrimp. The entire biological community functions as a single interconnected organism. Each species relies on the metabolic byproducts of its neighbors. Blind shrimp remain the most critical link in this chain. Giant tube worms dominate vents in the distant Pacific Ocean. Rifsha pachyptela grows completely without a mouth or digestive tract. These worms rely entirely on internal symbiotic bacteria for food. Blind shrimp possess functional digestive systems despite their bacterial farming. Atlantic vents lack the massive tube worms found elsewhere globally. Shrimp fill the ecological niche occupied by worms elsewhere entirely. Yeti crabs cultivate bacteria on their hairy arms in darkness. The blind shrimp utilize a similar external bacterial cultivation strategy. However, the shrimp gather in significantly larger and denser swarms. Crabs maintain solitary territories across the heated mineral chimney surfaces. Scaly foot snails wear armor made of iron sulfide compounds. These metal shells protect them from intense heat and predators. Blind shrimp lack heavy armor but rely on rapid movement. Snails move slowly across the mineral deposits near the vents. Shrimp dart quickly through the turbulent mixing zones of water. Vent mussels filter bacteria directly from the surrounding warm currents. Mussels remain permanently attached to the basalt rocks below them. Shrimp maintain absolute mobility to find optimal temperature gradients constantly. This freedom of movement allows them to escape sudden eruptions. Sessile organisms often perish when fluid temperatures change too rapidly. Vent clams bury themselves deeply within the warm sediments nearby. They extend long siphons to reach the nutrient-rich water. Shrimp swim freely above the sediment layer in the darkness. Octopuses occasionally visit the vents to hunt for vulnerable crustaceans. The pale vent octopus navigates the thermal gradients with ease. Blind shrimp use their thermal sensors to evade these predators. A specialized organ on their back detects faint infrared radiation. This sensory adaptation is entirely unique among deep-sea invertebrates. Other vent creatures rely primarily on chemical signals for navigation. The shrimp combine thermal detection with precise chemical sensing abilities. Human industry now looks toward the deep ocean for resources. Hydrothermal vents contain massive deposits of valuable rare earth metals. Copper and zinc accumulate in the towering black smoker chimneys. Mining companies design massive robotic machines to harvest these minerals. These heavy extraction vehicles would crush the fragile seabed ecosystems. Removing the chimneys destroys the primary habitat of blind shrimp. The physical destruction of vents happens in mere hours mechanically. Natural geological processes take thousands of years to rebuild them. A single mining operation could wipe out an entire species. Vent communities exist as isolated islands in a vast desert. Mining generates massive clouds of fine sediment in the water. These unnatural dust plumes drift for hundreds of miles silently. Suspended particles clog the delicate gills of the blind shrimp. The sediment buries the vital bacterial mats growing on rocks. Without these bacteria, the entire food chain faces immediate starvation. Noise pollution from mining machinery disrupts the quiet abyssal environment. The mechanical vibrations interfere with delicate animal sensory organs constantly. Toxic metals released during excavation poison the surrounding water column. Larval shrimp cannot survive in highly contaminated ocean bottom currents. International regulations currently struggle to protect these vulnerable deep habitats. Scientists urge extreme caution before beginning any deep ocean extraction. We understand very little about these complex biological vent networks. Destroying them might eliminate undiscovered species of immense scientific value. The loss of biodiversity in the abyss is completely irreversible. Conservationists propose establishing protected marine sanctuaries around known active vents. These safe zones would allow blind shrimp populations to thrive. Preserving the ocean floor requires global cooperation and strict oversight. The mineral wealth cannot outweigh the intrinsic value of life. Each unique vent ecosystem represents millions of years of evolution. We must balance technological progress with responsible environmental stewardship carefully. Climate change alters the fundamental chemistry of the global ocean. Increased carbon dioxide levels cause gradual acidification of seawater everywhere. Acidic water dissolves the fragile exoskeletons of many marine crustaceans. Blind shrimp must expend extra energy to maintain their shells. This metabolic strain reduces their ability to reproduce successfully underwater. Changing surface temperatures disrupt the deep ocean circulation current patterns. These currents transport larval shrimp between distant hydrothermal vent sites. Altered flow patterns could isolate populations and reduce genetic diversity. Isolated groups become highly vulnerable to sudden local environmental changes. Warming waters decrease the overall oxygen concentration in the depths. Although vents are hot, surrounding waters must remain near freezing. The shrimp rely on this extreme temperature gradient for survival. A warmer background ocean reduces the efficiency of their metabolism. Shifts in ocean chemistry also affect the symbiotic bacteria populations. If the microbes fail, the shrimp lose their primary sustenance. The deep sea is not immune to surface atmospheric pollution. Microplastics sink slowly into the deepest trenches of the world. Filter-feeding organisms ingest these artificial particles by tragic mistake. Toxic chemicals from plastics accumulate within the abyssal food web. The pristine nature of the deep ocean is rapidly fading. Researchers deploy autonomous sensors to monitor these gradual chemical shifts. Long-term data reveals a slowly warming trend at depth. The resilience of the blind shrimp faces an unprecedented test. They survived previous mass extinctions throughout our turbulent geological history. However, human impacts occur at an unnaturally rapid ecological pace. Evolution requires time to develop new survival strategies and adaptations. The current rate of change outpaces their natural biological responses. Protecting the surface climate directly benefits the deep sea environments. All oceanic zones connect through a continuous flow of water. The fate of the abyss intertwines with our own choices. Biologists study blind shrimp to understand extreme biological heat tolerance. Their proteins remain stable at temperatures that destroy normal tissues. These unique molecules have potential applications in modern medical research. Industrial enzymes could be designed using their robust genetic blueprints. The shrimp immune system fights off highly aggressive marine viruses. Understanding this immunity might lead to novel human antibiotic treatments. Their thermal sensing organs inspire new designs for infrared cameras. Engineers analyze their shell structure to create stronger synthetic materials. The symbiotic relationship with bacteria offers clues about cellular evolution. Every specimen collected provides a wealth of fascinating genetic data. The discovery of chemosynthesis completely revolutionized our understanding of biology. Textbooks once stated that all life required energy from sunlight. The blind shrimp proved that life finds entirely different pathways. They utilize the dark chemical energy of the inner planet. This paradigm shift expanded the boundaries of known habitable zones. Researchers mapped the genomes of these creatures with great precision. Genetic markers reveal how different vent populations migrate and interbreed. The shrimp possess highly specialized mechanisms for processing heavy metals. This ability could help scientists develop new environmental cleanup technologies. Nature has already solved many complex chemical engineering problems perfectly. Studying their nervous system reveals how sensory deprivation affects brains. Without vision, their other senses became incredibly refined and sensitive. Neurologists map the neural pathways connecting their thermal dorsal organ. The loss of eyes demonstrates the ruthless efficiency of evolution. Energy is never wasted on useless organs in the abyss. Their biological clocks function without any rhythmic cues from sunlight. Tidal forces and fluid fluctuations might regulate their internal rhythms. The deep sea remains the largest unexplored laboratory on Earth. Blind shrimp are the perfect subjects for extreme physiological studies. They hold secrets to survival in the most hostile conditions. Many scientists believe life on Earth began at hydrothermal vents. The ancient ocean was a toxic and boiling chemical soup. Early single-celled organisms thrived in these harsh primordial conditions. Blind shrimp exist in an environment resembling this ancient world. They offer a living window into our distant biological past. The chemical reactions at vents provide continuous free cellular energy. This energy may have sparked the first self-replicating molecules. As we watch the shrimp, we witness the earliest ecosystems. The darkness of the abyss preserves the origins of existence. We are deeply connected to these strange creatures through evolution. The study of vent life extends far beyond our planet. Astrobiologists look to blind shrimp for extraterrestrial biological model systems. Icy moons in our solar system hide vast liquid oceans. The distant moon Europa possesses a deep and dark ocean. Gravitational friction heats the rocky core of this frozen world. Hydrothermal vents likely exist at the bottom of that ocean. Another frozen moon sprays salty water plumes into open space. These plumes contain organic compounds and signs of hydrothermal activity. If life exists there, it might resemble our blind shrimp. Alien ecosystems would rely entirely on chemosynthesis in absolute darkness. The shrimp prove that sunlight is merely an optional resource. Life requires only water, heat, and basic chemical building blocks. The universe is filled with these fundamental ingredients for biology. Exploring the deep ocean prepares us for future space missions. Submersibles test technologies intended for distant frozen planetary bodies tomorrow. The abyss is our closest analog to an alien world. The resilience of the shrimp gives us hope for astrobiology. Life is likely abundant in the dark corners of space. We gaze into the deep ocean and see the stars. The mysteries of the cosmos lie hidden beneath the waves. The hydrothermal vents continue their eternal geological dance of heat. Mineral chimneys slowly grow taller in the quiet oceanic night. The blind shrimp swim endlessly through the warm, nurturing currents. Their delicate bodies glow faintly in the light of submersibles. When the lights fade, they return to their peaceful darkness. They do not fear the crushing pressure or the cold. The deep sea is a realm of absolute tranquil harmony. Everything operates in a perfect balance of energy and life. The ocean floor rests calmly beneath miles of heavy water. Surface storms never reach this silent and protected underwater sanctuary. You can let go of the day and its worries. Imagine the gentle sway of the deep ocean bottom currents. Feel the calming weight of the water above your head. The blind shrimp continue their silent journey in the dark. They are safe in the embrace of the deep earth. Nature maintains its quiet rhythm while the surface world sleeps. Allow your mind to drift into this vast, peaceful abyss. Rest now in the soothing quiet of the endless ocean. Sleep deeply as the mysteries of the deep remain undisturbed. Good night, dear listener, and dream of the quiet deep sea.